Hey guys, good morning. Today I'm going to be, put this camera down here for a second, put my gloves on. Today I'm going to be prepping my decrepit garden beds for some fall planting stuff. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Kind of the end of summer, everything is dead. I only have some pepper plants that are kind of surviving at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I revitalize the beds for fall. I'm going to be taking out the weeds and adding some more material. Let me show you what we're working with here. Crap, I can't do. There we go. So these are the two beds that we're working with. Both of them had stuff that has died since summer. And these beds were full to the top. I don't know how long you've been following my progress here, but these beds are filled with a combination of leaves, like mulched leaves, grass clippings, logs, twigs. The bottom half of these beds were filled with that, cardboard, and then some topsoil, some vermiculite, compost, and since then you can see how much they've settled. So that's really good news. It means everything down in the bottom has broken down into organic matter, and now we need to refill this and kind of add some more material. To do that, we're going to use a combination of vermiculite. So there's this stuff. It is, again, I buy the giant bulk bags. It helps prevent soil compaction. Obviously, I use this for my seed starting as well, and it's great for adding. This is basically how you make a DIY garden bed mix. Now, the garden bag soil bags are super expensive. This is how you do the DIY version. I'm also going to be adding perlite, which is, people think they're styrofoam. They're actually not. It's like puffed volcanic rock. It helps to allow air to get in, and so improves drainage and aeration. So both of these will service different purposes. This helps to hold in nutrients. This helps with aerage, and so again, they might be counterintuitive. That one improves moisture, this one improves drainage, but it makes it basically lighter. What are you guys doing in there? Can you not go in? I guess you're fine in those beds. You can till those ones up all you want. And then peat moss. So just, again, coconut coir will be a better choice if it's hard for me to find in my area. So I go with the, what do you call it? Responsibly farmed stuff. And where is it? There's something in here. It's down in there. It's way in there. But that's the stuff. And this will help lighten it up. And then I also add compost and just natural, whatever, soil. So between these three things, the perlite, the vermiculite, I guess it's 5 things, the peat moss and the compost, which I haven't gotten yet, those are over there in our compost bins, with the garden soil, it ends up being a really great garden bed mix, because my plants have done really great, and they've seemed to like it. I have some pepper plants that are still holding on here. I've gotten a bajillion jalapenos. Another choice, if you don't want to buy all that stuff, is, a pre-made mix like this. If you're doing in-garden stuff, you can use this, or you can use the raised bed stuff. So I buy this, plus I add some drainage stuff so that it doesn't end up getting bogged down. So I'll add these to that as well, just to give it, I don't know, a little bit of extra boost, so to speak. But for the time being, hey Tristan, for the time being, I'm going to show you how I revitalize these things. Here is what we're working with. Like I said, decrepit old bed, needs some love. This is my drip irrigation, and I am absolutely loving this new method of drip irrigation. I started experimenting with it this year, put a lot of thought into it, and so far I have absolutely loved it. So what it is it's these 3 flexible drip lines. You can see 1, 2, 3, and I kind of measured out and divided it so that it would have a little bit of drip throughout the whole width of the bed. on this drip tubing, there are these little self-cleaning emitters. So let's see if it'll focus here. See, so it'll drip water at a regulated rate, and it's pressure regulated. So the whole line, all throughout all the beds, will all get the same amount of drip irrigation. And it's like a half a gallon per hour or a gallon per hour. I can't exactly remember how much this is. But it's worked fantastic. It gets the whole bed drip irrigated, and it will, you know, like capillary action will permeate through the beds and get the entire surface drip irrigated. And, oh yeah, you are, aren't you? You're 3 hours behind us. Girl, you're waking up early. So am I, though. So this is what, you know, will water the entire bed, and it'll save water because I put mulch on top of this, and the plants absolutely love it. But I'm loving this because I made it flexible, okay? So at the end you can see there's the harder, stiffer stuff here. And this is also an option. But I did this in my last beds, my last house, and I didn't love it because it was very hard to maneuver and get out of the beds. I can actually show you. I have some left over here. You have to forgive my mess here. But this is what it looks like, the thicker stuff. Again, it has the drip irrigation. Where, let me see if I can find one. Of course I'm not gonna be able to, there we go. It has the emitter still, but this is very hard to maneuver around in your beds, okay? So I wouldn't recommend that. I would highly recommend this system that I've been using this year because it's been very easy to wiggle them around plants, okay? So you can see over there, these are my plants that are still surviving. You know, you can wiggle them around, you can kind of maneuver them so that they get near. You can stake them down with, you know, little landscaping stakes, and it's flexible. It's pretty manipulable. Now, at the end of the season, what I can do is I can just take these and get them out of the way. So, like, how awesome is that? I'm really excited about that. Each of them also has a valve that you can use to shut off each bed. So if I were to water these beds, since they still have plants, I can turn off these ones so that drip irrigation is not going through this bed. It obviously has nothing. So I'll turn those off. But now we have a nice open, clean surface to start revitalizing these beds. I'm gonna put the camera down now so I can use both hands. Let's see, turn it around. I'm not the greatest camera person, sorry. Hopefully you can see. Alright, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a rake. And I'm gonna try not to till it. I really don't want to till it as much as possible. I want to leave it kind of intact. I want that natural, the root systems and the biodegradable stuff to kind of keep doing their thing. The more you till it, the more you introduce weed seeds. The weed seeds that are way down in there, you bring them to the surface and you just let them germinate, basically. I started to do this method, Weedless Gardening by Reed something. I can link the book. But it makes a lot of sense to just keep the soil integrity intact. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm just leveling it out because it's kind of bumpy. And I'm just going to be, all of this stuff, like I can even leave it in there. All of the leaves and broken down stuff, I'll just leave it in there to continue to biodegrade. So I'm just at this point, hopefully you guys can hear me, I'm just leveling out what's left in these beds and taking out any weeds that I see that are growing. There are quite a few weeds here, but actually not many considering. I've absolutely loved these raised beds. They have cut down the weeds 90%. I've gotten so much more out of these raised beds than I had the entire field of garden I had before. It's just easier to manage, it's more self-regulating, it can water itself. You know, I have a busy friggin' life and a huge garden to take care of, which is not working for me. So, okay. Again, it doesn't need to be crazy perfect because I'm about to add a whole bunch of stuff. But hopefully you can see see that? I should just pull this down here so you can see from this way. Sorry. So there it is, nice and smooth. Doesn't need to be perfect. I've gotten all the live living weeds out. I haven't really tilled it or upturned it very much. Again, I don't want to put the new weed seeds at the top. These are what I was talking about, the landscaping stakes you can use to stake down your drip irrigation wherever you want to put it. These are awesome. And I also found that they double as like little pins to hold down netting on the side of your garden beds. Let's see if you guys can see right here. So you just take them and it holds down netting, but it's also a good spot to put them in case you don't want to lose them like me. Can't tell you how many pairs of clippers I've lost. Just putting them down and forgetting them where they were, and then leaves come or chickens till them up. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add peat moss, vermiculite, perlite, and compost, basically equal parts. See if I should raise this up so you guys, this is a bad camera angle outside, sorry. Maybe I'll just do this way. Stand by. I need like a full-time camera person to follow me around. Sorry, you're looking at my nose here. This way you can see what I'm doing and don't have to. Let's see if that works. Hopefully you guys can hear me. So, all right. Pretty heavy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a layer of each of these amendments over the top. Fill it in a little bit. I'm gonna use what I have left. Use what I have left of this. You don't need too much. Don't breathe this crap in. The end of the bag is always a little dustier than usual. You don't need... Sorry. You don't need too much of this. I'd say, so these are 3x8 beds. I'd say maybe half an inch, probably half an inch to be honest, of the vermiculite and the perlite. I mean, you can just do it by eye. It's not really real science. All you're doing is you're just adding some lighter, fluffier material to the garden soil. The problem with garden soil is, especially here in the south, we have a lot of clay, so it compacts really easily, and I mean, doesn't hold nutrients, you get root rot, all those kind of things. So by adding the peat moss and the perlite and the vermiculite, it helps this stuff fluff up your normal garden soil. If you were to buy a bag of, like I said, that organic garden soil, adding just a little bit of this will turn it into the more expensive raised bed mix stuff. So let me get a scissors. If I can find them. This'll do. Sorry, you're having to listen to my chickens and their egg laying song. They're free ranging right now, they're happy. They got bugs. This one's looking at me kind of sideways, aren't you? How come it is, I'm talking to my chickens. Do that a lot. Not normally, I actually do that on Facebook Live a lot. Every time I get on Facebook Live, this guy wants to challenge me. Alright, so if I had to guess, I'd say that was probably half of a 5-gallon bucket full. And what I do is I just kind of, it's definitely not even a half an inch. I was wrong. And I'm just basically, I'm gonna mix all this together. I'm just spreading it out in an even-ish layer so I know that each kind of part of the bed gets an even mix in. Again, we don't need much of this, just a little bit to improve aeration. And the longer the beds go and the less you till them, and the more organic matter you add by like straw mulch and leaving the disease-free foliage in there, the better it'll get. The organic matter will build up, it'll naturally feed itself. Compost is the best thing you can do. I'm gonna add a little bit more here. Compost is the best thing you can give your garden beds. Do not use synthetic fertilizers. Don't. If you're gonna do that, just don't even bother with the garden. This is my humbled, unbiased opinion. I mean, by putting chemical fertilizers in here, you're just killing all of the good stuff, and you're giving it an artificial food that's gonna be like carbs and sugar basically for your garden. It's gonna burn through it fast, and then once it's gone, it's gone. You've just killed the soil, and your plants don't have anything to eat anymore. It's way more work in the long run to have to continuously feed it artificial fertilizers and food. By doing compost, it like will get better and better over time, like I said. Okay, so we got the perlite down. I'm gonna do the vermiculite now. What are you doing? This chicken thinks he's a person. Oh, no. They like love to eat this stuff for some reason. No, go. They will pick through this stuff and like eat it all if I let them. I don't know what it is. They like to take it. I don't feel like they probably should eat it. I mean, it's just volcanic rock. They basically eat stones. Chickens eat stones to digest their food. Call it grit. And the gizzard will put the stones in there, and as they chew their food, it helps to basically break down all of the stuff. So it's not going to be awful, but I also don't really want to eat it. All right, now I'm putting the vermiculite in. I use this stuff a lot. This makes it really light and fluffy. No, you don't need to eat this. Go away. I mean, I'd say that was probably 3/4 of a 5-gallon bucket. A little bit on the floor. Again, not really, just kind of spreading it out even-ish. Make sure you get the corners good. All right. That's done and done. I'll show you what we're working with here. And you see, it's just like a, light mixed in layer of perlite and vermiculite. Now we're going to add the peat moss. Maybe. If I can get this tripod to look decent-ish. Hey, Leslie. Hey, guys. Hey, Aaron. Cameron, Shane. Welcome to your morning farm TV. All right, where's my shovel? What do I do with my shovel? It's over here. Hold on, stand by. All right, perlite, vermiculite. Now we're gonna add peat moss. Peat moss is this stuff. It's pretty inexpensive. I bought this whole compressed bale for I think 12 or 13 bucks. Now I'm just gonna I'd say this would be a good 5-gallon bucket. Maybe 1.5 5-gallon buckets. This I'm a little bit more generous with. A, it's cheaper. B, it breaks down quicker. It's a pretty fine organic matter, so as the water and natural process of the bacteria and all that stuff that goes on, the fungi and all that stuff that goes on in healthy soil, will start to break this down and turn it into healthy food for the plants. What do you guys think? You guys can't see these chickens, but let me show you. Let me show you what my chickens are doing right now. Behind the scenes, my camera people. Let's see. This is my camera crew. Shoo, stop eating that. But would you have any idea that I had all these onlookers? They're looking for worms. They're like, wait, where's the compost? Because I know when the compost comes, that's worms. Got some that have made it into the garden, even though I've tried to fence them off. They somehow find their way in. So this is my camera crew. This is what we got so far in the garden beds. We have a nice layer of, again, super thin. I mean, maybe half of a 5-gallon bucket, 2.5 gallons. Perlite, vermiculite, and now we have a pretty good, decent amount of peat moss. And I'm gonna go ahead and, hey Leslie. Sorry guys, I'm kind of far away from the camera. I can't see who's watching, but leave me a comment, say hi. And if you have any questions, let me know. What are you doing? Oh my God, you guys are such a pain in the butt. Those ones I really don't want you in. These ones, go ahead, till your heart's content. Now you guys are stuck because you're fenced in. Oh my God, I swear they're like toddlers that will never, ever grow up. But they do make me breakfast, so there's that. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and spread this out. Put this camera back here. They laughed. Yeah, cartoons don't talk back to you, right? Crazy Jamie does. All right, so same thing, you know, spread it. And like I said, it takes me 5 times longer to do this while I'm doing a video than it would be if I was just out here, you know, doing it by myself. So I encourage you to really give this a try. Even if you had one raised garden bed, you would be crazy surprised at how much food you can grow. You can grow salad for an entire winter in just like one 1-foot row here, really. But I want to show you guys this. Hopefully you guys like it, otherwise I'm wasting my time. But these are things I've learned, you know. Oh gosh, I've been kind of gardening-ish for. Tristan, when did I get you into gardening? 9 years ago, 10 years ago? I don't even know. So there we go. Now we have a good layer of peat moss, vermiculite, and perlite. I'm gonna have to go get some compost, and what I'll do is I'll layer a good amount of compost, and I have some dirt. I'll just get some garden dirt in here. Let me grab this bag of soil over here, and I'll let you kind of watch me over here. Let's see. These are really heavy, so if I struggle, I'm not weak. Well, I'm kind of weak. Go out. Ugh. You're so freaking heavy. They're really heavy. Okay. So if you don't have a giant yard to go dig up dirt piles like we do, most people don't in a suburban setting, you can get these cheaper bags of just garden soil. Again, organic, and because especially if it's Miracle-Gro, they're gonna put synthetic fertilizers in there. Garden soil is so much cheaper than raised bed or potting mix, guys. So if you add vermiculite, perlite, peat moss, you've basically amended it to the point where you've got a lot more on your money. So I'll just take one bag of this, and I mean, you can add several bags. Isn't it crazy that dirt is the most expensive part of gardening? And you can put it in your bed and do all of the same things I've been showing you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dump this whole bag in here just to get some more volume. As I was saying earlier, it's really settled a lot, which is great. It means it's decomposing and breaking down. But I need to add some more height to this. So go ahead and add this back. What do you say? Yeah, don't forget cloth diaper. Awesome. Glad you're liking the tips, Tress. Yeah, definitely cloth diapers. That was so worth it. Wish I would have done that with Sophia. saved you so much money. Cloth diapering is really not that intimidating, guys, I promise. Alright, so here we go. Adding this whole bag. You can see when you buy how awesome this looks. This is like what you want to see. It's like black gold. Again, this was $9 a bag, okay? I got this at Big Lots. This is not something I'm going to buy 25 bags of and fill my beds with. That's just not cost effective for me. So I filled it with, I'm going to add a tutorial. I'm going to get my website up ASAP, I promise. But I'll do a whole raised garden bed tutorial on how I filled these for the cheap. But this is what the garden bed soil looks like. Sorry, the sun's really weird right now. And I'm just going to go ahead and add this whole bag. As I'm dumping it, I'm trying to get as even-ish of a layer as possible. Doesn't need to be perfect. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to mix all of this stuff together. You know, because I'm putting probably 6 inches of volume back in these beds. I want to avoid breaking down into the original layer as much as possible, but I do want to get all of these things mixed in well. So, let's see if you guys can see me. Yeah. So, I'm just spreading, breaking up big chunks, kind of just throwing it across the bed, breaking it up as much as possible. These come with like giant chunks. It's really heavy. It was kind of wet, but just adding good organic material back to your beds. Now, like I was saying earlier, having 2 beds that are well built and well fed will give you 10 times as much if you have 10 beds that are garbage, that you fill with just garbage soil, or don't feed, or don't fertilize. And by fertilize I mean, you know, organic, obviously, amendments like blood meal and nitrogen and compost and all those things. Fertilizing doesn't need to be synthetic. It can be very natural, and that's what you should do. But, so, by taking the time now to put in more organic material, to put in nitrogen and phosphorus and you know, all those different things, this one bed will give me, I learned that the hard way. Well, not the hard way. It was a happy surprise. I tried to plant in these beds as much as I would normally plant, like over my old failure of an in-ground bed thing. And the one tomato plant that I planted in this bed gave me more tomatoes than that garden has ever given me in 4 years. Like, it was a really happy surprise. I couldn't be more thrilled with the results. And it made it definitely be worth the time and effort. So what I'm doing, I'm just breaking up these chunks and spreading out an even-ish layer. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I can't see right now because I'm too far away from the camera. Hopefully you guys can hear me. And I'm just throwing this stuff loosely around. Now these things, you might be wondering what these are. These are for the hoops here. You can use it for bird netting. You can use it to put tulle over. If you have a lot of issues with those cabbage loopers, which is the stuff that eats your broccoli and your brassicas, and it ends up looking like Swiss cheese. As long as there's no flowering plants in that bed, you can put tulle over it, and it'll be just a physical barrier so those moths don't lay their eggs on there. But these have been really, they're multi-purpose, you know. I can also do some plastic sheeting if it gets cold in the winter and it's supposed to snow or freeze. I can just put some plastic sheets over it, and it will basically be a greenhouse. Okay, so that looks really good. Show you guys again how we do this. Turn this around. Sorry, my gardening gloves don't work super good on my phone. Turn around. All right. Whew, it's getting hot. Try to get out here before the sun comes up, and it's getting toasty. So this is what we have. We have a layer of perlite, vermiculite, peat moss, and now the garden soil, okay? So it's in a loosely layered bed. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna get some compost, and I'm gonna put as much compost as I can afford to sacrifice. I don't have a lot right now. And I'll put a 2-inch layer of compost, which is going to be a lot, but then I'll go in and I'll just use my hands and I'll just go ahead and mix it all together, and it's going to be like the best garden soil that you have ever seen. Then I'll lay the drip irrigation back down over it. I'll pin it down with these things. I'll lay those drip lines, pin them in, and then I'll be able to come in here and plant all my fall stuff, which is going to be broccoli and lettuce and all of the things that don't do super great in the summer here. Even the spring, it gets too hot too fast. So sorry I'm sweaty. Hopefully that helped you guys out a little bit, gave you some ideas. I'm going to go shovel some compost and I'll do a part 2.